Good evening and welcome to Virtual Theatricos. I'm Michael Roulan. I'm a member of the Artistic Committee here, and I'm just going to briefly introduce tonight's show for you. First off, I recommend that you put Zoom into speaker view rather than gallery view. You can do that by going to the upper right-hand corner of your screen where it says speaker view or gallery view, and just click on that. That way you don't see a whole bunch of blank screens. Our plays tonight are two short plays written by Idris Goodwin. He very kindly made 5 of his short plays available for free to any organization as long as they performed the shows for free as part of their educational mission. And Theatricos was very excited about this idea because, first off, we've been unable to perform for you for a few months because of the COVID pandemic, but also we realized that it was essential that we as a community join in the ongoing discussion about racial justice and racial inequality. And these plays do an excellent job of illustrating various aspects of that conversation. And so after we're done with the 2 short plays that we're doing this evening, we are going to stick around for a community discussion that will include Mayor Coral Evans. And the first play is called #Matters. It features a cast and director from the East Coast, so we don't want them to have to stay up too late. We have Brittany Nicole Timmons in the role of Tina and Zeke Buckledge as Cole, and the play is directed by Cynthia Williams. Without any further ado, I will let them start.
We lived next door to each other as kids.
And now, same city.
We were never really that close during any of it, but we knew each other.
I'd see him here and there.
But we were aware of one another.
We kept our space, not consciously, we just ran in different spaces.
But we were always aware. Social war.
Another body, another name, another image circulated. Latest body, name, latest image to haunt.
It's shameful.
I posted, "This is no time for apathy."
Liked it.
The fight for equality continues on.
Liked it.
And then I typed a hashtag and 3 words. 3 words I thought anybody could get behind.
Well, I didn't quite like that. So I responded with a hashtag and 3 words. Nothing offensive. Words I thought anyone could get behind.
I didn't quite like it, so I deleted it.
She deleted my response. No, that is totally hypocritical.
My wall, my space. And yeah, I edited. It's the one space where I can create in this world, the world I like to inhabit.
Now, I respond to her posts a lot. We share the same algorithm politically.
My response was to remove it.
And erasure is never okay, so I responded, this is not a race issue. This is about abuse of power.
I responded, are you crazy?
I responded, we are talking about equality, the human experience. This is no time for stark divisions along racial lines. This is time for us to recognize our shared humanity.
I deleted it.
Well, I messaged her.
He messaged me.
Now, we haven't seen each other for a while, or spoken. The last time was at a concert. The MC, she was a little mad at me. The MC performed a song with the N-word in it, and she saw me sing along, but she never said anything to me. But after the show, she was cold to me.
He messaged me.
Hey, Kim, I know it's been a while.
He felt like we needed to talk, needed to clear the air.
Can we sit down for a coffee sometime? Sitting down.
I'd like to ask you what you meant, but I'm finding it hard to ask you. What I would rather do is tell you what I think about what I thought you meant.
Oh, no, I can explain what I meant.
I'm sure you can, but can you explain what I read and what I took it to mean?
What? I just meant we're all comprised of matter. Matter being the essential molecular element of which we're all comprised. Ordinary matter like trees, water, solids, liquids.
But sounds. The voice, for example, was not always considered matter. Matter used to only encompass a select set of solid objects.
Yeah, but all along it was all matter.
What happens to matter split? Does it explode and decimate millions of bodies of color? And whose hands split that matter? What we are talking about are Black lives split, shaken until they become bombs.
No, their lives, this is all ridiculous. No, we're here and we can decide how this is going to go. This doesn't have to be and shouldn't be. And we don't have to ascribe. And aside, there was this one summer after our senior year of high school. We were both short on credits. All of our friends took off. We had to stick around. We both ended up working at the library to make some extra cash. We got kind of close that summer. We talked about books, smoked joints out on lunch break. Oh, this was the summer I got into R&B, and I turned her on to some indie rock. I thought, man, what a cool chick. Well, there's this one night after our shift, well, we got those tall cans and decided to break into the school. Well, someone heard us, so we ducked into the only room that we could find, the chemistry room. When it was dark in there, so we're super quiet. We drank some more and started to get close. You know, maybe it was because things were coming to an end. Maybe, you know, we got close to, no, we didn't. She stopped. Suddenly. She said she had to go home. We are on the same side, Kim.
Are we?
Yes, we want the same thing.
After another man is laying in the street, your immediate impulse is to correct me, to talk semantics with me, to say, well, actually, Kim, I don't know whose side that is. An aside. In particle physics, antimatter is composed of antiparticles, which have the same mass as particles of ordinary matter, but have an opposite charge.
I don't think anyone is less or more or special.
When we say Black Lives Matter, do you think that's us saying we're special? Look at us, we're getting shot.
Well, no, but it is kind of making your suffering worse than others. Wait, no, that is not what I meant. No, all I'm trying to say is, I mean, what about all the people in Africa, or the Boko Haram stuff, or all the women all over the world being assaulted,
Okay,
or
but
gays, lesbians, Hispanics being deported, shot at border crossings, or hell, even the poor white folk who are because of the crimes of it. And look, I'm all for civil rights, but looting, property damage, and just
no. You don't.
It isn't strategic. No, all lives, Kim. That's all I'm saying. Let's pull this from the act of the context of race, and we have to break it down to the root. Human wickedness.
And sometimes humans kill other humans because of race.
Wouldn't it be great if... Look, I just wish we could move on. You know, to be ourselves, be individuals, be our own perfect stars, our own perfect stars. Look, when we were kids. Look, when we'd have block parties and all the kids would be out and getting our faces painted like Spider-Man, bike rides, bike races, we were just kids in the neighborhood. When did we have to just start?
I was the only Black kid at the block party.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way.
You didn't see I was Black.
No, I didn't treat you any different.
Not everybody is like you.
And aside, she wasn't always like this.
And aside, I was silent. I used to be silent.
She used to be real easygoing, a cool chick.
I used to hold my breath, breathe shallow up here in my chest.
We grew up the same way.
But the way we were perceived is different.
That doesn't mean that these perceptions are true.
The water and the tree are in the same forest, but not the same. Different mass, different values, different uses. Are you willing to decrease your mass? Just say it. Black Lives Matter.
Do white lives not matter?
Nobody is saying what doesn't matter.
But it is exclusionary.
It's contextual in this climate. It relates to the splitting of Black atoms with no consequence.
And aside, oh, I really want to leave. I feel sick. I want to hug Kim. I want to tell her I'm sorry. But if I'm being honest, tell her to get over it. Life is hard, and there is no measuring stick for suffering, and she can change this just by being herself, not some angry Black woman.
I really want to let Cole off the hook. Drop this whole thing, tell him it's all good. But I have swallowed myself so many times to make white people feel less uncomfortable.
I just want to fix it.
Cole wants to know how to fix it, wants me to tell him, but I just woke up. I woke up this way. I don't know how to dig into the heart, to rewire the circuitry. Who does? I'm just trying to keep it together.
I want to tell her I'm sorry.
I don't need no apology. I just wanted to stop.
To say it, to admit it, that my life, in someone's eyes, that people living, no, people dead, has mattered more than other folks. And I don't believe that. But someone at some point has believed that. Or maybe my life has been more important, more better because of that.
That night in the chemistry room when we got close, Cole and I, all those years ago, I was into it. I liked him until he put his hands in my hair. I thought about all those kids at school always asking to touch it. Can I touch it? And how they react after they did. And then he had his hands in my hair. And then I thought how he thought it felt. Weird, funny, good. Then I thought, has he been with any other Black girls before? And then it became too much. So I told him I had to go home. So I did. That was the closest we ever got.
A week or two later, I sent Kim a message. I thanked her for our conversation. I told her we should be in touch more often, that I wanted to keep talking, and not just about this, but our lives in general. Nothing. That was that, I thought. But one morning, I went on my timeline. I saw her picture being shared and her name being shared by everyone. They called it a failure to comply. A failure to be silent. So she was made silent forever. She lives on now, in a hashtag. But I still hear her voice hanging in those particles. Does a spirit have mass? It must. I can feel the weight.
Thank you very much. That was Hashtag Matters by Idris Goodwin with Brittany Nicole Timmons as Kim, Zeke Buckledge as Cole, directed by Cynthia Williams. Our next play will be Black Flag, also by Idris Goodwin. This play features Sheila Utley as Deja, Grace Otto as Sydney, and AJ Maniglia as Harry, and it was directed by Joe Maniglia.
Fall semester, late August. Oh my gosh! I'm finally in the flesh! I'm so used to seeing all your Facebook pictures, but now you here. What was that, Deja? I can't hear you.
It's so good to finally meet you.
So, you ready for this?
I can't wait.
Okay, Rumi, first things first. Do you mind if I take this side? It's just always felt right to me.
It's all yours.
We can always switch after Christmas break. I mean, winter recess.
You can say Christmas break here.
Got any more stuff? I can help.
I decided to start off light. I'm going to be hitting up my mom on the regular for care packages.
Oh, my mama already sent me with everything.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've got peaches, peanut brittle, got some moon pies.
No, keep all of that away from me.
What, this?
Yeah, that.
You mean these?
Sydney,
Are you sure you don't want one?
damn you. So, are you going to the mixer tonight?
Yeah, you?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. I won't know anybody there.
Isn't that the whole point?
Oh.
I guess your mom really did pack everything for you.
Oh, you mean this? Oh, well, she didn't want me to forget, says, don't you go get lost out there. She's got a lot of pride.
Yeah, a lot of pride.
Oh, well, it's where I come from, It's okay, right? I mean, I know it's a little, Southern girl rebel flag, but I don't know. You seem like a rebel to me.
It's your side of the room.
Actually, would you mind giving me a hand? Actually, no, wait. I think there. Hey, I saw that they were serving soft serve down at the cafeteria. Want to come down with me?
No, I got a lot of stuff here.
Okay. Well, you have my number, so text me if you need anything or just want to meet up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that.
Alrighty.
Fall semester, November. That's mine,
What was under my bed?
but it's mine.
Well, I thought it was something of mine.
Well, it's not, so you didn't read that, did you? You shouldn't have read that. Once you saw it, it wasn't something of yours. You really shouldn't have read it.
Well, I did.
Look,
So-
we've got to be honest about how we're feeling and what's on our mind. And look, we have to be honest.
So this is what you really think?
You really shouldn't have read that.
It's so secretive, but you read this in front of your entire class and your professor.
Sydney, didn't you ever think for a second that maybe, just maybe, I might be uncomfortable by all of this?
But I didn't mean it like that, like in a...
Of course you didn't. It's your side of the room, and you have a right to put whatever you want on your wall.
You said it assaults you. It's cross burning its Confederate history into my nightmares. Deja, you don't think I'm like one of those dumb redneck assholes that you see all over TV and social media? And
I never called you a dumb redneck. You have the poem in your hands. I never said anything about you.
the poem is called To My Roommate.
It wasn't to you. It was a free write, and in a free write, you're supposed to just let all of the thoughts fall out of your brain. She says, don't censor. So I didn't.
I just didn't realize, like when I put it up, I didn't even think of it as something that could be a problem for you.
Of course you didn't.
I don't mean it. It represents, my home and my culture. But the good things, though, I didn't mean it like...
It's whatever, okay? It's your side of the room.
I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
I said it's whatever.
Okay. All right.
All right?
All right. Last one.
It's all good. You have it.
Oh,
Yeah.
fall semester, December. Is that
Yeah, my roommate's from the South and she has a lot of pride.
Was this up when you moved in?
She actually asked me to help her put it up.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. First day, she pulled it out of her bag and just hung it up.
Like, ironically,
It's her side of the room and she can put up whatever she likes.
so it doesn't bother you. Okay.
Okay, look, I know how it looks.
Yeah, it looks racist.
Her mother gave it to her so she would not forget where she's from. She has a lot of pride.
Right. Didn't want her to get lost out here with all the weirdos and the godless heathens. Now, honey, when you get out there, don't you go fraternizing with those homos and Arabs.
Stop.
You can bring this up to the school, Just tell them you want a different room. I'm for real.
I thought of that at first, but
But
it's not. Is this gonna sound like I'm like trying to make a pun? But it's not so black and white. She sees one thing and I see another. It's not clear cut. I see slavery, obviously, but she sees like being country and southern. You see this flag on like belt buckles and like country music albums and that one show with the car.
I don't know.
Something about a car. My grandpa was always watching it.
I don't know.
She sees like country pride in a real generic way. It's her way of saying I'm from the South.
Where they fought to enslave African Americans.
You are too much.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't wanna. I just got here, it's my first year of college and I worked my ass off to get here. And I'm just trying to, make it through and like go to my classes and like parties and just do I have to be starting a whole thing just because I see something different that's on her side of the room? I don't like it. I really don't, but like I don't like a lot of things that I hear white people say
No,
or do.
I feel you, but
But you're always with that. Why do you even care? You're not black.
well, Deja, for starters, I hate slavery.
Are you sure it's just not some prejudice you have against Southerners, based off of a bunch of stereotypes? You just assume they all want slavery back. That's not fair.
No, but
A flag is just colors and fabric. The meaning changes depending on like who's looking at it. I have to make it through my first year and then I can get transferred to some other room for some arbitrary ass reason. But no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be the black girl, the angry black girl who started some shit over a dumb flag. They're just going to be putting my picture all over TikTok and Facebook and sharing their opinions with my photo and no, I'm not doing it. No.
you're giving this a lot of thought.
Brochure hasn't said anything about this.
The Boys of Hazard.
What?
The show you were with the car and the
No. It was Hazard. Hazard.
Dukes
Dukes of Hazard. Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus, Sydney.
I'm so sorry, Deja. I didn't know you were studying. Who's this, Deja?
I'm Harry.
I am so sorry.
Sydney, what have you been drinking?
Just some iced tea.
Just iced tea?
It's from up a little ways in this wonderful place called Long Island.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Harry. I think I might have
it's
to.
fine.
No, you two. I didn't
Why
want
don't
to
you just
up.
come and lay down?
Actually,
Just Sydney, please.
you might want to get a bucket.
I'm okay. What did you say? Herman?
Harry,
What'd you say?
what did I say?
Sydney?
Something about a bucket?
Oh, yeah. Well, you look pretty messed up.
Hmm, well, maybe you don't know me, but Sydney Blanchard does not puke. Oh,
Oh my God.
Okay. Deja, I'll call you.
hey, no. I don't go. I don't want to interrupt. I just want to. Oh, come here, damn it. There. Lovely. I remember what I came here for. Bye, y'all.
Bye, Sydney.
Bye.
Harry.
What was that? What the hell kind of accent was that supposed to be?
I wasn't doing an accent.
No? Sounded like you were trying to parrot me.
He wasn't Sid.
I know, because I know what a fake Southern accent sounds like. See, because I'm from Georgia, and where we come from, we say bye. But how you said it, it was like you were from Texas or something, like bye. Hear the difference?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Sydney. Bye, girl.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait a second. Y'all want any of these peaches?
Nope.
No, Sydney.
Suit yourself. Just a little taste of home right here.
Yeah, you got home all over the place with your peaches and your flag.
Stop it.
What was that?
Oh, what was that?
What was?
We're gonna go too. Let's all just get out of this room.
No. No. I think I want to stay right here with you two in my room.
With your flag.
And your shirt.
This isn't a flag. What are you talking about?
But it is a flag. You're walking around everywhere on your shirt. The California bear revolts all up in everybody's face. Mine lives here in my space, my private space.
Calm down.
I don't like this guy, Deja. This guy, he's a...
Sid.
You can do better than this idiot, honey. That's right, idiot.
Don't call me an idiot, you drunk.
Stop it. Both of you. Stop.
Calling me an idiot. You know, I'm not racist.
You don't even know me. You don't even know me.
Oh, I know what that is.
Want to calm down.
Give me that, Deja. You were the first one to start all this crap.
Hey, don't yell at her.
You're turning
You
everyone
bring all
against
that
me,
into
making me
with
out
that?
to be some kind of racist.
You are a
My
racist.
best friend in high school was black. My
You are a racist.
racist.
That is
You're the one
what
talking
you
about
are.
race. I am a racist. Oh,
Oh.
oh, oh.
Oh.
Spring semester. January.
Over the break, the winter recess, my whole family, cousins and aunties, we meet up at Stone Mountain Park just outside of Atlanta. We have this tradition, you know, the day after Christmas, we go up there and have a picnic, catch up with each other. It's real nice. Trees and lots of land. And of course, there's this old plantation house and a museum about the plantation house where they tell you stories about the old times, how things used to be. And then there's this stone mountain. There's an actual stone mountain right there staring down at you, and engraved in it is all the names of the Civil War here guys, you know, Jefferson, Stonewall, Robert E. And we grow up hearing about these guys like they're saints our whole lives, you know, and I really mean my family's really not. Anyway, so we're at the park and there's this other family. Well, I guess there are lots of other families, but really they're just these two guys. And one of them says it was right there on Stone Mountain where where the Klan, well, where they jump-started the Klan. Like the Second Coming on Stone Mountain. And they don't share that fact with you at the Plantation Museum. And these guys were talking about action. How these guys weren't afraid to act, and how Dylan Roof,
The North Carolina shooter?
they were saying how they thought he was just some mixed up kid that they didn't agree with murder, but boy, didn't he have some balls.
Oh my
He
God.
wasn't afraid to take action. Yeah, and I wanted to march up right over to them and say a million things to them, but look, I'm not gonna lie to you here, Deja, and pretend like a lot of these so-called liberal kids here, I've heard shit like it before, but what really, really hit me is they started complaining that after Roof killed all those people, they took down the flag.
Your flag? That one there?
Yeah, that flag. They took it down in South Carolina. These guys kept saying they better not try that in Georgia. That big-eared summabitch Obama better not take my flag. And they just kept going. And I swear, Deja, I thought of you. And that night with Harry.
He's not so bad.
Whatever, I know you guys are booed up or whatever, but I thought about what happened in this room here and that poem you wrote and how you wrote its arms, blocking off history from evolving past its scars. My mama gave this to me so I wouldn't forget how she raised me, but now all I see is those guys talking about Dylan Roof and taking action, and God, Deja. It's time. It has to come down.
Your flag. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But can you help me?
How?
Help me take it down.
Help you take it down or take it down for you?
I know you don't want it to be here. I mean, every day you gotta be looking at this thing like, oh, I just wish I could yank the damn thing down. And that's fine with me. I get it now. And do it. Take it down. It's okay with me.
But it's not okay with me.
But I thought that you wanted it down.
Look, wait, just listen. I don't want to take it down for you. Then the story becomes you took it down because you have a black roommate. It came down because your black roommate was uncomfortable. But it should make you uncomfortable too. It should make anybody uncomfortable. I want you to take your flag down. I want those guys in Stone Mountain Park to want to take the flag down. I want.
Okay.
It has to be you.
Why can't I bring myself to move? I mean, why does it hurt when I try?
It's like what you said, Sydney. It's where you come from. It's pride.
Thank you very much. That was Black Flag by Idris Goodwin, with Grace Otto as Sydney, Sheila Utley as Deja, and AJ Maniglia as Harry, directed by Joe Maniglia. I wish we could applaud for all of the actors and directors. That's one of the limitations of the format, but thank you very much. Like I said, this is a preview. We will be doing all 5 of these short plays on November 15th. Look for details at theatricos.com and also on the Theatricos Facebook page. I would like to invite you to stick around for a conversation with Mayor Coral Evans. We can use the chat function to ask questions. And Mayor Evans, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you. There we go. That's better. Hello.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I would like to say to the actors, that was absolutely incredible. It was incredible sitting here listening to the dialogues and the conversation live on screen. I think that those are dialogues and conversations that are probably going on all over the place right now. And it was just really interesting to be able to sit back and not have to participate in the dialogue, but just sit there and listen and watch it.
We've got a question from the audience. First off, we've got a few people applauding the actors and the directors. Wonderful work. There is a question about the Flagstaff Police Department and how does Flagstaff compare to other towns in terms of policing, and what can other small towns learn from us, and what can we learn from other small towns?
So I would say that, and again, this is my opinion, the Flagstaff Police Department is definitely one of the better police departments that I know of. Right. That's not to say that the Flagstaff Police Department is perfect by any means at all. You know, we have this conversation. I think it's interesting that that's the very first question that pops up on the screen. And you know, I'll tell you why. And I think many of you have heard me say this. I know I said this at the dais. I really think it's interesting how we go straight to police. And I think that's because obviously right now, front and center, you know, there are things that are happening with police all over our country. So I think it's really, quite frankly, easy for us to go right there. But, you know, one of the things I said at the dais, and I'll say again tonight, the Black lived experience is more than just police. And there's so much more to being Black and to the Black story. And I think in some ways, we are focusing on that solely to the exclusion of all the other issues. Police are not the only people that have issues. Police are not the only people that have problems. You know, sometimes the police are getting involved in things because people are calling the police. You know, there's this thing about Karen and Becky and things like that. You know, one of the things that I said at the dais is that we need to stop and have a conversation with Black people about the totality of the Black lived experience. And part of that is taking the fingers that are pointing at the police and holding up a mirror at ourselves. Right? So,
Thank you. There's a question for the actors. I think some of the actors may have left. I know they're on the East Coast and they probably want to get to sleep. But for those who are still here, how much of this, what you just saw or what you just acted, have you lived yourselves? And how did this impact how or if you talk about racial issues?
I'll go first. I am half Black and half white, so I feel like I have a really solid platform to still be able to speak on these issues. But growing up in Flagstaff is kind of a weird experience because I feel like there's a veil lifted over it because everyone expects it to be so liberal that when something that seems like out of the ordinary, it's just, oh, that's Flagstaff. Being in high school, being one of the 8 Black kids in my entire school, I experienced a lot of racial, not inequality, but in a more form of prejudice. I've been called a filthy N-word in my Spanish class in 4th hour. I've had a Confederate flag waved in front of my face before I walked into the school building in the morning. I got bullied by kids who weren't just white. They were indigenous, they were Mexican, they were Latino, they were all these different things. So I feel like with this script, I never had to deal with the idea of a flag as much as I had to deal with people's own voices, but these issues are very much alive and especially riddled in small towns that are like Flagstaff or Ashfork or Seligman or some random Nebraska town where there's that token Black family that exists, and it needs to be a conversation that's more open, because no one really ever asks how the kids feel, because in a way we have a voice, but it doesn't really matter. That's it for me. If anyone else wants to go.
Thank you very much for sharing that. That's a very powerful testimony, and I know it's not easy to speak of. So thank you so much for your courage. And Coral, do you want to share with Sheila what you just shared in the chat?
Well, what I said first, Deja, definitely, thank you for sharing your truth, right? Because we do live in this progressive little bubble town, but it's actually not as progressive as we like to think it is. You know, my daughter is half Mexican and half Black, and I can remember her going to school, and she resembles her father, her skin tone, because people also get that mixed up too, right? You know, they look at things versus the color of your skin. And it was Black History Month, and she was like, hey, we're gonna talk about Black history. And she was told that they didn't need to talk about Black history because there's no Black people in the class, right? And so there's little things like that. I remember picking her up from school one day, and everybody thought she was really, really cool until they found out her mom was Black. And then all of a sudden, it went to being her mom was being called a gorilla, right? She's out on the playground, and they found out since she was half Black, that she gets to play the maid part of the, what is it, plain house or whatever they're doing. So I mean, there's all that kind of stuff.
It's such a, sorry to cut you off, Coral, but I wanted to chime in on that really fast. It's amazing how your daughter, not amazing, but terrifying how your daughter went through the same experiences, because I was born in Avondale, Arizona, one of the first houses in Coldwater, and I went to a Lutheran school. And it wasn't until I went home one day and told my mom that we were playing slaves, because I was the only Black kid in my class, that it really clicked to my parents that, okay, something isn't right here. And it's weird how it can get embedded just through generations of, your parents don't even have to be racist. It could be the school teachings. I learned more about my Black history on the internet in the past 2 months than I ever did in school. I was never taught about the Tulsa riots. I was never taught about the bombing that the city of Philadelphia did on their own Black neighborhoods. So many things are left untaught, and it's not even just African American history. I barely know anything about the indigenous history of the land that I inhabit, or the cultural history that comes from my mom's side of the family, the Scandinavians. I know a tad bit about that, but we're so focused on teaching everyone the same American concepts of teaching American history every single year of our lives, to make sure in that mantra that we present ourselves as the greatest country in the world when we have no factual evidence to truly support that. But it's you never learn about things outside of your own bubble, and it's frustrating because Latino and Hispanic history is some of the most beautiful history in their culture. Same thing with Asian history and how we lump China and Korea and Mongolia and Japan, all of them together when they shouldn't be like bunched together. Or all of African history, there's different, I don't want to say like divisions, but some Africans went to South America first. Some Africans went to the Caribbean first before, or they stayed down there. They're not just all coming from Africa to America. And I apologize, I get very passionate about this topic. It's something that I have had such a deep rooted thing, because my Black side of the family thinks I'm too white to be able to chime in. And so whenever someone gives me a platform to be able to speak upon it, it all comes out.
Please don't apologize. That's the whole point of this conversation. And we do need to hear these stories. And speaking of hearing stories, Daniel, Can you hear me? The host? Cynthia, the director of the first play, is in the audience. If you could move her to the panelists so that she could share her thoughts, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Cynthia, you are now in the panelists.
Hi,
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much.
you're
This
welcome.
it was wonderful to see the actors do such a great job under your direction.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And they do too.
Please share your thoughts. We'd love to hear.
Oh, I'm a teacher. By profession, I teach at a all girls middle school. And I find myself in a position where you wonder what to say, what not to say, because they're in an impressionable age. So you wonder what to say, what not to say. How much do you tell them? How much do they understand? And what amazes me is how much they do understand. And the world that they're growing up in, sort of, it scares me. And it scares them. I think hashtag matter just put a lot of things in perspective for me. We're at that place in the crossroads where we are standing on opposite sides of each other, spouting the same thing, but there's a divide there. And somebody has to take that space across that divide. And nobody's going to do that. So where does that leave us? Talking about it. And after a while, we could see that just talking about it, like Idris said in his play, it explodes. I mean, people get all this pent up, no one's listening. And that's what we're seeing in the streets. I can't condemn it. I can't. What happens to a dream? What happens to a dream deferred? It explodes. And that's what's happening in our cities. People have been fighting for years. Think about from Dr. King till now, fighting for the same thing, and nothing's changing. It's scary. Will I see it in my lifetime? Will Deja see it in her lifetime? I just feel that as a people, a race, a people, we're in a place where we need people to understand that this is our lives. We're not saying that nobody else matters. We're just saying, stop doing what you're doing to us. Stop. If we get to that place where you stop, then we can talk equality. But don't keep saying that there's equality when we are the people that are being killed. And so like I said, I find myself in a place where I'm having to teach this to our children. I have brothers that I worry about. What's going to happen to them when they step out the door? Is that fair? It's not fair. And so so when I hear the thing about equality or all lives matter, they do, but that's not the fight right now. And so that's where I am. It's like, stop. Just stop the world. Let's everybody readjust and then start it up again. Because right now, we're like spiraling. But that's where I am. Thank you. That's where I am.
Can I follow up on that, Ms.
Please.
Cynthia? Because I think that there's two things when I think about, the concept of Black Lives Matter, right? And what this whole conversation is. I think really the issue, or the question back, and the question that we're not asking ourselves, no matter who you are, is why would someone feel the need to say that, right? So I really think that what we need to do is we need to stop as people and say, why did somebody feel the need to say that? we all instinctively know everybody's lives matter, or we should, right? So why would someone have to say that? And it's that question there that we ought to be trying to get to the bottom of. Instead of this constant circling around, well, my lives matter, these lives matter, blue lives matter, all lives matter. Really, we're not listening. If someone has to stand up and say, Black Lives Matter, all of us should have doubled down with, why do you have to say that? Why do you feel the need to say that? Why do you think your life doesn't matter? That really should be where the conversation should have gone, rather than where it is now. Now, the second thing that I think is really important for us to really like think about with this is that how do you get to the next step, right? You know, how do you get to that next step? And I think that it goes back to, why is it someone felt the need to say it at any point? You know, that's what we should be really concerned about. And we should be drilling down to that. Why would anybody feel in the world's greatest country that is so innovative, that we've done all these magnificent things, why would anybody feel that their lives doesn't matter? And so I would just really encourage us to really like, that really is the response we should be telling when people come up with stuff. The second thing I think is important, and I tell people, a lot of young people on the screen, for those of you who have kids, okay, have more than one kid, you know, they have a birthday, especially when they're young, right? And that one day is all about that one kid. And your other kid's like, hey, what about me? What about me? What about me? Where are all the presents? What about me? And you literally look at the other kid and it's like, it's not that I don't love you at all, right? Not that I don't love you as much or more or whatever. It's just for this moment in time, it ain't about you, right? This one moment in time, it's not about you. And I think that what we see reflective now is really a sense of selfishness in a way, right? It's like, I'm not saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is a birthday party. I want to be very clear, because you know how people are. But what I'm saying is that the first thing should be, why would anybody feel the need to have to verbally say their life matters? Why would someone feel the need to verbalize that? The second thing is, you know what? For this moment in time, we are going to get to the bottom of why they need to say it, and we are going to address it. So those are just how I think when I think about the Black Lives Matter movement.
And I will say, as an artist, that this is our time, because I think writers, performers, entertainers have the ability to step out of themselves into where they need to be and put the stories out there. Somebody has to tell these stories. And I think right now, this is an artist, it's made for artists. Tell our stories. Somebody has to tell our stories. You're muted.
I think you're, yeah.
You know, I've been teaching on Zoom since March. You'd think I'd know to unmute myself. But there was a question about, imagine that people care, but they don't understand. What do we do? And you've all really answered that question, I think. We need to hear each other's stories. And Cynthia, I agree 1000% that art is such a powerful way of doing this. I mean, I have been in plays and I've seen plays that have absolutely sent chills up and down my spine. And tonight's plays were so powerful. But one thing that comes up in both of these plays that I think is really important is the courage that it takes to speak up. And I know that there have been times, including very recently, that I didn't have the courage to speak up. How do you get that courage? What drives you to finally take that step and say, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm not going to silently stare at your flag?
For me personally, it was kind of, I just had to hit my breaking point. I was tired of being made fun of. I was tired of getting pushed into lockers. I was tired of being threatened. Some kid actually tried to hit me with his car once. And don't get me wrong, I love Flagstaff, every fiber of my being. If I could live there for the rest of my life, I would. But I think there's a whole mentality that comes with it that's engraved since you're a kid, that not that you're inferior, but that these are things that are quote unquote normal. Like the mayor and I have similar experiences with her having to be the maid and me having to be the slave. It's something that's so deep rooted, and then once you finally feel that flame ignite, it just hits like a bomb, really. You get so sick and tired of feeling so down on yourself. I can't even tell you how many times I went home wishing I was blonde haired and blue eyed, because it would just make everything easier. And I think it starts really with teaching your kids not to embrace who they are, and embrace the fact that we may not be, I mean, Black people are definitely not the majority in Flagstaff, but just because you're not the majority doesn't mean that you're less important, and that everyone is equal and deserves to be treated like such. And if you feel like something's wrong, you have to speak out. But for so many Black and Indigenous and Hispanic and Asian and Pacific Islanders and all these different things, even white people themselves, since there's so many different subdivisions that can make up a Caucasian, that it's just fear. Your fear of getting rejected, your fear of getting objectified, your fear that you're going to say the wrong thing and just drive everyone away around you. I've lost people who I never would have expected by just saying the 3 words, Black Lives Matter, because I have to wake up every day wondering if my brothers are going to get shot for some dumb reason, because I've had a cousin shot over a parking space in the South. And the fact that people are dragging other Black people to get lynched in Indianapolis, it's time to stop. And you have to teach your kids from a young age. You have to, if you have a platform, speak out upon these issues, and quite honestly, put your money where your mouth is. All of these huge Black artists aren't doing anything. Like LeBron James is building a school. Like, that is amazing. But what has Oprah done? What has Beyonce done? What has Jay-Z done that's done a huge, massive impact? And it all comes down to, you can't talk anymore. It's time for action. And it all boils down to, you may not be Black, and not everyone in the world, and especially not everyone in Flagstaff, is Black, but you don't have to understand and put yourself in our shoes. You just have to be there for us in the terms of, we know that you're there, that you're present in the issue, and that you don't understand what's going on. I don't know what it's like to be full Black. There's so much more fear that comes with being that. I'm half white. I get half of whatever that comes with, but you just have to be able to recognize the fact that there's an issue and be able to adapt and go from there to help out your fellow man, because that's what America is all about. Is if you see someone fall next to you, you pick them up. And that's
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Sheila. As a white man on the panel here, living in Chicago for about 7 years, I learned what white privilege was. And one day, a friend of mine who was African American was helping me move a table that I had bought from my from my van up to my apartment, and we moved it on up. He went back down to get it, and I was going to take him back to his house. And so I was locking up. He was already in the van, and when I came down, the Chicago police had him up against the hood of the car. And everything within me is, this isn't right. This isn't right. And and I hate conflict, as other people on this panel will probably tell you. I hate conflict. And yet I found myself, open your mouth. And I had to say, what are you doing, officer? What's going on? And I found myself, I was interacting with the officer. It was like, stay back, sir. We've got this under control. I said, I'm not worried about. So what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I had to not just witness this. I had to speak into this situation as a white man who could have just as easily turned right around and gone back up into my apartment and left this man to get arrested. So we have to find that within us to speak up, even though we're usually we're good at wanting to be quiet. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves. At least that's how I was brought up. Don't draw attention to yourself. Don't make yourself the target, or don't go against the police at all costs. So.
And I think that we've gotten to the point where, honestly, like, silence is violence, right? And I think as a country, we've been bottling tensions down. Don't look at it. Don't look at the ugliness that's the foundation of this country. Let's not look at it. Let's continue to progress, when we're not progressing because we're not speaking up, and we're not, it's obviously, like, this is a Black issue, and this is a human issue, and it is time for white people to step up and be allies, and also, like, elevate Black voices. Like, repost, if you're on social media, like, repost and reshare, like, someone else's experience, because it is so important to understand that other people have different experiences, and to empathize with those, and again, to elevate those voices, because America is really great at whitewashing, and really bad about, like, and really bad with broken promises. And it's 2020. Like, let's go. Like, let's make some change. Let's actually be the America that we, advertise to the rest of the world, and that we have been advertising, because that is not who we are at this present moment. And it's time to step up. So. Yeah.
And I will say, vote. Please go vote.
Yes.
Please vote.
Yep.
And do your research.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I can't tell anyone else how to get there. I know that for me, I got tired. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing people killed in the street. So my motivation is I can't sit back and just watch anymore. And what I would say to some, I can't, and there's no way in my belief that anyone else can feel what someone that's in the trenches feels. But you can empathize, you can sympathize, you can support, you can uplift, you can be there, you can be a part. It's a movement. The movement welcomes anybody that's on their side. Be a part of the movement, and you'll be amazed at what it does for you, where your strength, just like you will garner strength. You will garner those things that will make you open up your mouth and say, no, that's not right. And link arms with your brothers and sisters. We need the support. We need the support, because that's the only way it's going to change.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to change. We have to have the support.
I wanted to speak on the flag for a minute, because the play was absolutely fascinating, and I was watching it. I was watching both plays. The reason why I want to speak on the flag, because I think this ties back to everything that we're kind of saying here, about we need to really know the history. So if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Isn't that how it goes?
Mm-hmm.
So no, the flag issue to me is absolutely fascinating, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think we understand the history of the flag. I really think if we were to stop and take a step back and really examine the history of this flag, we might have a different opinion of it. This is why I say that, right? So, you know, Sydney was talking, I'm sorry, your character.
It's all good.
This is my history. I'm from Georgia, right? And I was like, well, if you knew your history and you're from Georgia, you would know that's not your flag,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we refer to this flag as the Confederate flag. And I just think it's very interesting because the Confederacy never, I'm a history buff. I'm one of those little nerdy, wonky people, right? I'm gonna Google and research and try to find out everything before I form an opinion of it. And I'm like, actually, the Confederacy never had a flag. They never had an official flag. They had 3 different versions of a flag, and each version had that kind of in it somewhere, but they never officially adopted a flag. And the stars and bars is what we're talking about. The flag is actually the battle flag of the North Virginia Army. It's a field flag, right? The North Virginia Regiment. So I'm like, if you're from North Virginia, you can totally claim that as your heritage. If you're from any other place, you need to go find what your battle flag was. It makes no sense that this flag is hanging up outside of that area on anybody's capital because the flag. I mean, it's really not the flag. I mean, that's just all there's to it. So I'm like, okay, so let's set that aside for a moment, right? So I'm like, let's check on the history of this flag. So then you could say, okay, fine. De facto, we're all just going to accept it's a Confederate flag, okay? I'm like, okay, but that's not what history says. But hey, you know, we don't really pay attention to history anymore. So fine, let's make it the Confederacy flag. To me, the issue is not about if it's racist or not, okay? It's really not. The next issue is, what would happen if we went to, let's say, England, and we put up the American flag? I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, really, the argument about this flag is that it's a traitorous flag. You know, the Civil War killed more Americans than any other war, right? At least that's my understanding of history. I don't know. I'm sure there's got to be a Lincoln scholar somewhere who can correct me.
That's right.
So if the issue is that this flag belonged to a completely different country that started a war that killed more Americans ever, why would you be flying the flag of another country that killed more Americans ever? The flag obviously has to do with traitorism. Was it traitorism? Is that even a word? But you get what I'm saying? So before we jump to the flag is racist, right? Before we even go 3 or 4 steps down the road, let's get back to our history and figure out what this flag is and what it's not. One, it's not the Confederate flag. It's not, okay? They didn't have one. But if we want to make it the flag of the Confederacy killed more Americans that war than any other one. Just like you wouldn't go to England and fly, what is it, the Susan B. Anthony flag or whatever, you would not be allowed to fly that at Nottingham Palace or whatever the Queen lives in. They would consider that to be an act of treason. So I'm like going, if you are American, and I consider myself to be American, my dad served for 28 years in the United States Air Force. Every male on my dad's side of the family has served in this armed forces for this country, except my twin brother because he went straight to medical school, okay? I consider myself to be a patriot. And as a patriot, it has nothing to do with being Black. As a patriot, I think all patriots should be offended that that flag would be flown after killing as many Americans as it has.
Yeah.
I think another really big part that comes with it that I've always wondered is if you have the American flag or the Confederate flag and you claim to be such a patriot, why don't you just hang the American flag?
Mm-hmm.
That you.
Excellent.
Yes, absolutely. This conversation could probably go on for hours. And I know we all really appreciate everybody sharing their truths and having the courage to speak out. I do want to remind you, we will be doing all 5 of these short plays by Idris Goodwin in November. Also remember, tomorrow evening at 7:30, we will be performing Act 2 of The Dying Declaration of Madge Oberholzer, which will also be followed by a community discussion. If you missed Act 1, the recording is on both the Facebook page for Theatricos and on our website, theatricos.com. Thank you so much to our actors, our directors, our special guest, Mayor Coral Evans, and to everyone who worked to make this possible. Thank you to Daniel, who's been our Zoom guru. And I hope that you will all feel inspired to go out and do something powerful.
Well
And with
said.
that, I wish you all a good night and a wonderful weekend.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.